If you inherited a home in Brevard County or Indian River County, the biggest mistake is treating it like a normal sale, because most of the time, this is not just a house. It might be your parents' home. It might be a property that has been in the family for decades. It might be a home you've not stepped inside in years, or it might be the place where you spent every holiday growing up. And now, while you're dealing with grief, paperwork, family opinions, and personal belongings, repairs, insurance, utilities, and maybe even probate, you're also expected to make a smart real estate decision. That is a lot. So before you rush to clean it out, renovate it, put a sign in the yard, or accept the first cash offer that shows up in your mailbox, I want to walk you through what you actually need to understand first. Because inherited homes on the Space Coast can be handled well, but they can also get messy very quickly if you skip the wrong step. The first thing I want you to understand is that you do not need to have the whole house figured out on day one. A lot of families feel this immediate pressure to make decisions fast. Someone says, we need to clean it out. Someone else says, we should sell it as is. Another person thinks it needs updates. Then there's usually one family member who wants to keep everything, one who wants to throw everything away, and one who just wants the entire situation finished as quickly as possible. That is normal. But emotionally urgent does not always mean strategically urgent. Before you start making big decisions, slow the process down enough to understand what you are actually working with. Is the home legally ready to be sold? Who has authority to sign? Are there multiple heirs involved? Is there a will or trust? Does the property need to go through probate? Are there any liens, unpaid taxes, open permits, insurance issues, or ownership questions? I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice here. If there are probate questions, title issues, or disputes between heirs, you need the right legal guidance. But from a real estate standpoint, I can tell you this. Figuring out who has authority to sell before you start preparing the property can save a lot of time, frustration, and conflict. Because cleaning out a house is one thing. Getting ready to legally transfer ownership is another. And if those two things are happening out of order, the whole process can feel more chaotic than it needs to be. The second thing to think about is the condition of the home, and I do not just mean whether the kitchen is outdated. Inherited homes often have deferred maintenance that the family has stopped noticing. That does not mean that the home was neglected. Sometimes the person living there was elderly. Sometimes money was tight. Sometimes they just got used to living with things that a buyer will immediately notice. A roof may be older than you realized. The HVAC might be near the end of its life. Plumbing, electrical, windows, flooring, moisture issues, wood rot, and insurance concerns can all become part of the conversation. Here on the Space Coast, buyers are also paying close attention to things like wind mitigation, flood zones, insurance costs, age of the roof, storm protection, and whether the home has features that could make coverage easier or harder. That matters. A buyer may love the location in Melbourne, Palm Bay, Cocoa, Rockledge, Viera, Sebastian, or anywhere along the beachside communities. But if the home has a roof issue or insurance concern, it can affect financing, negotiation, and buyer confidence. This is where a lot of families make the wrong assumption. They think we should fix everything before we sell. Not always. Other families think we should not touch anything, just sell it as is. Also, not always. The right answer depends on the home, the market, the price point, the location, and the type of buyer most likely to want it. There are repairs that can protect value. There are updates that will not pay you back. Some clean-out work is absolutely worth doing, while certain renovation ideas create delays, stress, and unnecessary spending. Before you start painting, replacing flooring, gutting bathrooms, or hiring contractors, get a real read on what the home is worth in its current condition and what it could realistically be worth with targeted improvements, not dream improvements, not HGTV improvements, practical, market-based improvements. Because there is a difference between making a home sellable and trying to turn it into something it's not. The third thing you need to think about is the clean-out process. This is usually the part that feels the most emotional. A house can look like a real estate asset from the outside, but once you open closets, drawers, garages, attics, sheds, and storage rooms, it becomes very personal very quickly. You are not just sorting stuff, you are sorting someone's life. That is why I usually tell families not to start by asking, what do we want to throw away? Start by identifying what needs to be preserved. Important documents, family photos, military records, estate paperwork, jewelry, collectibles, personal letters, titles, deeds, insurance information, tax records, anything that may matter legally, financially, or emotionally should be separated before anyone starts hauling things out. After that, the family can decide what gets donated, sold, kept, removed, or professionally handled. And if you are out of state, this gets harder. A lot of people inherit property here on the Space Coast, but live somewhere else. Maybe the home is in Brevard County, but the adult children are in Georgia, New York, Ohio, Texas, or somewhere across the country. Trying to coordinate cleanout, repairs, contractors, lawn care, utilities, and showings from another state can become a full-time job. That is where having local guidance matters. Not because you cannot do it yourself, but because every decision is heavier when you're not here to see what is happening in real time. You need someone who can tell you what actually matters for the sale and what is just noise. The fourth thing to understand is that buyers do not see the home the same way your family does. This is one of the hardest parts. Your family may see the home as a place full of memories. Buyers are looking at layout, condition, smell, lighting, insurance, storage, roof age, neighborhood, resale value, and how much money they will need to put in after closing. They are not being cruel. They are being buyers. A room that feels sentimental to you may feel dated to them. A yard that reminds you of family cookouts may look like maintenance. A garage full of tools may be meaningful, but a buyer may see clutter. The wallpaper your parents loved might make the home feel older than it really is. That does not mean you have to strip the house of every ounce of personality. It does mean you need to understand how the market will interpret what is there. Sometimes the best move is a full clean out, light staging, fresh photos, and a strong pricing strategy. Other times, the home may be better positioned as an opportunity for someone who wants to renovate. In certain cases, an investor or cash buyer could make sense, but that should be a strategic decision, not a panic decision, because the first offer is not always the best offer, and the easiest offer is not always the right one. There are companies and buyers who specifically look for inherited homes because they assume the family is overwhelmed. They may send letters, they may offer cash, they may make the process sound simple. Sometimes that can be useful, but before you accept, you need to understand what you're trading for convenience. If a buyer is taking on repairs, clean out, risk, and speed, they're usually building that into the price. That does not automatically make the offer bad. It just means you need to compare it against what the open market might bring. The question is not, can we sell this quickly? The better question is, what is the smartest way to sell this based on the condition, timeline, family situation, and likely buyer pool? That answer will not be the same for every inherited home. A waterfront property in Cocoa Beach is not the same as an older home in Palm Bay. A Melbourne Beach property with land is different from a small home in Titusville. A Viera home with strong updates may need a different plan than a Sebastian home that has not been touched in 20 years. Location matters, condition matters, timing matters. So does the emotional bandwidth of the family. The fifth thing I want you to pay attention to is pricing. Inherited homes are often mispriced because families are working from emotion, old memories, online estimates, or what they think the home would be worth if everything were updated. Online estimates do not walk through the house. They do not smell moisture. They do not notice an old electrical panel. They don't know whether the roof is insurable. They don't understand family urgency, buyer hesitation, deferred maintenance, or the difference between a clean, outdated home and a neglected, outdated home. That is why pricing inherited property requires more than pulling a few comparable sales. You have to look at what has actually sold nearby, what condition those homes were in, how long they sat, what concessions were made, and what buyers are currently choosing instead. If the home is priced too high, it can sit. When a property sits, buyers start wondering, what's wrong with it? Then the family gets frustrated, the house continues needing maintenance, the utilities keep running, lawn care still has to be handled, and sometimes the home becomes harder to show over time. If the home is priced too low, you may leave real money on the table. The goal is not to guess. The goal is to position the home correctly from the start so the right buyers understand the opportunity and feel enough confidence to act. That is especially important when a home needs work. A property that needs updating is not automatically a problem. Plenty of buyers want a home they can improve. But the price, photos, description, and marketing need to match the reality of the home. You do not want to market a project house like a turnkey home. You also do not want to undersell a property that has value because of the lot, location, zoning, water access, neighborhood, or future potential. That is where local context becomes important. The sixth thing to decide is whether you're selling the home empty, furnished, partially cleaned out, or fully prepared. There is no universal answer. An empty home can be easier for buyers to understand if it has good light, clean flooring, and a simple layout. In other cases, empty rooms can make flaws more obvious. A furnished home may feel warmer, but too much furniture can make it feel smaller or more dated. A partially cleaned out house is usually the hardest to market. It can feel unfinished. Buyers may wonder what else is unresolved. Photos become more difficult. Showings feel uncomfortable. The property may look like a project even if the underlying home is solid. So before photos happen, make a plan. What needs to be removed? What should stay? Does the home need professional cleaning? Would light staging help? Are there odors that need to be addressed? Is the yard giving the right first impression? Are there repairs that affect safety, financing, or insurance? You don't need to make the home perfect, but you do need to make it understandable. Buyers need to be able to see what they're buying, what they would need to do after closing, and why the property is worth the price. Confusion kills confidence. When buyers feel uncertain, they either do not make an offer or they build their uncertainty into a lower offer. The seventh thing to consider is timing. Some families want to move as quickly as possible. That may be the right call if the home is vacant, expenses are adding up, or no one lives nearby to manage it. Other families need more time because there are legal steps, personal belongings, family decisions, or repairs that need to happen first. Neither is wrong. What matters is building a realistic plan instead of reacting week by week. If the home is vacant, you still need someone watching it. Utilities may need to stay on. Insurance needs to be addressed. Lawn care cannot be ignored. In Florida, moisture, storms, pests, and heat do not wait for the family to be ready. A vacant home on the Space Coast still needs attention. That is one reason I do not like seeing families let inherited properties sit without a plan. The longer a home sits, the more likely small issues become bigger ones. A minor leak becomes damage. Landscaping gets away from you. Insurance questions become more complicated. Family members get tired of talking about it, and the whole thing starts to feel heavier. A clear timeline helps everyone. It does not remove the emotion, but it gives the family something concrete to follow. The eighth thing I would think through is who the likely buyer actually is. This is where a lot of marketing misses the mark. An inherited home might be perfect for a first-time buyer willing to do updates. It might attract an investor. It could appeal to a relocating buyer who wants location more than finishes. Maybe it's a downsizer who wants a single-story home. In some beachside areas, the buyer may care more about land, proximity to the water, rental potential, or future renovation value. The buyer profile changes the strategy. If the most likely buyer is going to renovate, the marketing needs to make the opportunity clear without pretending the home is move-in perfect condition. When the property has strong location value, you lead with what cannot be changed: the lot, the neighborhood, the water access, the proximity, the lifestyle, the long-term upside. If the home is dated but well-maintained, that is a different story than a property that needs major systems addressed. Buyers can handle old countertops. They get more nervous about insurance, roof, AC, electrical, plumbing, moisture, and unknown costs. So the way you present the property has to match what buyers are actually going to care about. Good marketing is not just pretty photos. It's helping the right buyer understand why this property makes sense. The ninth thing I want to say is probably the most important. You don't have to do this alone. Inherited home sales can bring out every emotion: grief, stress, guilt, urgency, resentment, nostalgia, relief. Sometimes all of that shows up in the same week. And when there are multiple family members involved, even simple decisions can become complicated. One person wants the highest possible price, another wants speed, someone else feels attached to the home. Maybe one sibling is doing most of the work while everyone else has opinions. Maybe nobody lives nearby. Maybe the person in charge is trying to honor the family while also making the practical decisions that need to be made. This is a hard position to be in. So if you are dealing with an inherited home on the Space Coast, my biggest advice is to get clarity before you take action. Find out whether the home is legally ready to sell. Understand the condition, separate the personal items that matter, get a realistic value range, decide what repairs are worth considering and which ones are not. Think through the likely buyer. Build a timeline that matches your family situation, then make the selling plan. Not the other way around, because if you start with the sale before you understand the property, the legal status, family dynamics, and the market, it is very easy to waste time, spend money in the wrong places, or accept less than the home is worth. And again, every situation is different. Some inherited homes should be cleaned, lightly prepared, and listed publicly. Some should be sold as is. Some need repairs before going live. Others are better suited for a cash buyer or an investor, depending on the condition and family priorities. The goal is not to force one strategy onto every house. The goal is to make the decision with your eyes open. So if you inherited a home in Brevard County, Indian River County, or anywhere along the Space Coast, and you are trying to figure out what to do next, I would be happy to help you look at the property, talk through your options, and build a plan that actually makes sense for your situation. You can call or text me at 321-446-6575, email me at kellysoldit@gmail.com, or visit my website and fill out the Sell with Kelly form. If you're not ready to sell yet, that's okay too. Sometimes the first step is not listing the home. Sometimes the first step is just understanding what you have, what it's worth, what needs to happen next, and what choices you actually have before you make a decision.